Welcome to Rewired for Great Success with Dr. M.A. V. Sanchez, neuropsychologist, executive coach, organizational development expert, award-winning best-selling author, and international speaker. Dr. Sanchez is on a mission to impact 1 million leaders through her thought leadership and specialized programs for women leaders. She is passionate about helping organizations strategize and draw a direct connection between leadership, diversity and inclusion, and organizational outcomes. Welcome to the conversation.
Hey, this is Dr. Sanchez. So excited to be with you here again. So, as you can remember, we've been discussing strategies to help you to really bridge the confidence gap to lead powerfully as a woman leader. And so, in previous episodes, I had talked about a client of mine named Amanda who had been passed over for promotion 4 times. And she had worked for 8 years for her organization. And some of you may remember this. She was leading at a very high level. And she had been promised each year by her superior that she would be promoted, and it never happened. So when she came to work with me, she was now on her 4th round. And by this time, she had really taken a real hit to her confidence, and she was doubting her abilities. But as a result of all of this inconsistency in the workplace and kind of feeling devalued and overlooked, she began showing up in meetings as someone who was afraid to speak up because she really feared not looking knowledgeable. She really second guessed herself on a daily basis, which she hadn't done before because she didn't trust her own decisions. She was feeling overworked, overwhelmed, and she was burnt out. And she battled with things like perfectionism, which kept her up in the middle of the night because she was driven by a need to be perfect and prove her value to the organization. So, all of these behaviors we discovered were triggered by faulty beliefs about not being good enough that were fueled by imposter syndrome. And what we discovered was that this internal script that Amanda had been grappling with for some time was that she was not good enough, that she didn't have what it took to make it at this next level. And what she found was that this was the total opposite of what her boss thought about her and her capabilities. And when she decided to ask for feedback with my encouragement in the form of a 360-degree assessment and a planned feedback session, what her boss shared with her came to Amanda as a total surprise. And the information that was shared in that feedback meeting actually became the catalyst to her that helped her to make the shift into finding the needed clarity and confidence, which ultimately helped her decide to unequivocally position powerfully for her promotion. So I'll tell you, I kind of had been alluding to this feedback that was given to her by her superior. And essentially, this was the feedback that he shared with her. He said, basically, she was one of the most valuable assets on the leadership team, but that ultimately she had not been promoted because he thought she didn't want it and wasn't ready. And what he meant by not being ready was that he thought that she needed to be protected from the rigors and challenges of senior leadership. He thought she wasn't resilient enough. He also thought that she didn't want it because, according to him, she never assertively verbalized this, that she wanted it. And so this assumption actually was a result of his own presuppositions and projections about what he perceived Amanda's contributions to be as a woman leader to that organization. But interestingly enough, this feedback was helpful because it told us 2 important things. One is that Amanda, going forward, if she decided to stay with this organization and pursue a promotion, that she needed to make efforts to manage herself. The second thing it told us was that she also needed to make an effort to manage the environment and the perceptions of key decision makers and stakeholders. So when it came to managing the self, Where she and I dialed down, and this is where I support women that are needing this level of support as they advance towards promotion, pivot, or transition, that are experiencing these mindset challenges, is that my focus is primarily in the coaching relationship on the leader's mindset. We focus and drill down on her beliefs, her attitudes, her assumptions, those blind spots that are interfering with her meeting her professional goals. And the second part of that is when we talk about managing the environment or perception. Amanda and I had to put our head together, and we had to figure out, for her in this particular organizational culture, how could she gain buy-in for her desire to promote pivot or transition? How could she harness the power of collaboration and be in alignment with the missional goals for the organization? Well, the answer to that uh, was what I call value-based negotiations. And that encompasses leading with the idea of value and being able to effectively and articulate during the negotiations process how you speak to your unique value proposition, the way in which you serve in a unique way that solves a problem that your industry organization is trying to solve. And for her to do that effectively, it had to be this collision or this alignment between her unique value proposition and that of the mission for the organization. And then it also had to involve accountability on both her side and that of the organization. So she had to be able to verbalize what she wanted, talk about how this was going to be a value to the organization, how this was an alignment with the missional goals for the organization, and how we can tether those key decision makers in her particular case to being accountable to meeting her where she was at, which is needing to see that they were also invested in her development and her ability to ascend within the organization, and how she could do her part to show them that she was ready to take on that responsibility. Now, most of the time, trying to manage these types of challenges on your own without support can really prolong your process of promotion or advancement into a next level opportunity. This is why I've created a shortcut for my clients to really help them to advance through these challenges quickly, using a framework that I've developed, which incorporates powerful tools and techniques to help you really arrive at feeling both confident and having the clarity surrounding your biggest professional challenges. Now, in Amanda's case, we created an individualized plan and an approach that was focused on two main outcomes. First was the management of self. And as I mentioned earlier, the focus of my coaching is really on the leader's mindset, right? And so we talk about the mental models, helping her to identify this sense of identity and to really be able to amplify her worldview as a leader. And I do this in a really unique way that uses brain-based coaching that is centered around or centered upon a vertical development framework. And that integrates things like principles of neuroscience, emotional intelligence, and industrial organizational models to impact upon behavior change. As opposed to telling Amanda at this point, you really just need to have more knowledge or more information so that you could be the kind of leader that you need to be. We focus upon integrating those principles that come up during brain-based coaching that are based upon those core beliefs with a vertical development approach that focuses upon developing the mindset of the leader by examining those core beliefs that operate at the unconscious and conscious level. And then the second outcome that we focused on with Amanda was about managing that environment. You know, most leadership development is focused on just adding new tools and competencies, and that's not what we were doing here. She was ready right now, right? But that's what they call horizontal development. And so what we needed to do is really just kind of turn the heat up on what she already had that made her ready right now. And in Amanda's case, We were able to expand upon her ability to think strategically, to be agile in her thought processes, to really promote her leadership and executive presence, to help her to communicate with confidence, own her ideas, and be comfortable with self-promotion, all in a way that meets with the alignment of the mission that the organization has and is able to help you amplify your unique value proposition so you can show them that you're meeting them exactly where they're at and that you have something that solves a problem for them and brings added value. You know, vertical development is kind of what we were talking about in brain-based coaching and how this focuses on the leader's mindset. It doesn't replace horizontal development where you add tools or competencies, but actually both are equally important. And so in Amanda's case, she had to do both, manage both effectively so that she could get to her outcome. Okay, so what about you? Do you resonate with any of the mindset challenges that we've discussed in this series of episodes? Are you grappling with any issues related to clarity and confidence like Amanda? By the way, after she gained the clarity and confidence to powerfully position for promotion, she actually accomplished it. And it literally took 8 weeks. And for Amanda, she made some life transforming gains. She overcame her mindset challenges to success and performance. She developed more confidence in her leadership presence and communication. She elevated her self-awareness. She was able to ask for what she was worth, and she negotiated both a promotion with a 30% salary increase, all because she took ownership over her professional journey. And she was able to effectively manage her internal politics, which were preventing her from achieving the level of success that she deserved. And this ultimately helped her to be able to make a greater impact in her work. But it first had to start with her deciding to make the decision to do the deeper work. So that's why I always come back to it starts with you. You have to make a decision to make a decision. You can't stay stuck in indecision when it comes to deciding if you're ready to promote, pivot, or transition to something new. Now, you may need help doing it. You may have to do some work in this process of being able to get ready to exude the confidence and the clarity that's needed in order to execute effectively to hit your goal. But it's definitely worth it once you decide it's time to do it. And the reality is you may need some help. So if you decide that, you know, after listening to today's episode, there's absolutely some nuggets, some things that you can take away that have been helpful to you in these series of episodes that we've done surrounding this issue about helping you to be able to bridge the confidence gap. I would love to hear from you about your thoughts. I would love to hear more from you about what takeaways that you've been able to gather from these episodes, and maybe even some areas that you may be struggling and be in need of support. Remember, you're not in this alone. Just consider what we're doing here, the behind the scenes, and consider me your secret weapon that is partnering with you in your professional journey. But I want you to not overlook the importance of things like mindset, because as we've said before, your mindset impacts upon how you shown up. And just like I shared this example about what happened with Amanda, so many of us, me included, have been there at times where my head wasn't in the game and I wasn't able to remain focused on my ultimate goal of being able to get where I wanted to in my career. But it is incumbent upon you that if you feel like you're spinning your wheels, if you're feeling overwhelmed by doubt, if you're feeling like you're lacking in confidence, if you're stressed and burned out, it's going to be a lot harder for you to accomplish your goal. So I want you to take these nuggets that I'm sharing with you, take whatever notes that you need, listen back to this episode if you need to, share this with another woman leader that this could benefit, because we all need to acknowledge that in order to amplify and climb, we're going to have to do this together. So my name is Dr. Sanchez. I'm so excited and honored for the opportunity to have spoken with you today. I hope that this episode has brought value to you, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining the conversation. Remember to subscribe, share, and join us next time.